In this video, we're going to look at a walkthrough of a baile in the palo of Tarantos. If you're new here, hi, I'm Belinda, the flamenco coach, and my mission is to help you learn how to dance flamenco easily. One of the important things about learning flamenco is understanding the structure and the conversation that happens between the singer, the dancer, and the guitarist. This is the flamenco trio, and while we can just go ahead and learn steps to music, it's a lot more fun and enjoyable, and we can connect more deeply with the art of flamenco if we do understand what structures are being used. In flamenco, we have quite a few different palos, and each palo will have its own structure and its own nuances. However, across bailes, across the palos, I do like to say there is a basic general structure which we can look at. I have already made a video on that one, so I'll link that one here. However, all bailes have the structure of a beginning, a middle, and an end. So that's a very easy way to start thinking about it. The beginning is called the Salida, the ending is called the Macho, and the middle is where we have time for the singer to do their thing, the guitarist does their thing, and the dancer does their thing. That's how I like to think of it. It helps me to process what's going on and to know who's the leader of the conversation in which part. And we also want to see that each person in the trio has a little bit to do within the baile. So for the singer's part, the singer will be singing the letras. The guitarist will be playing a falseta, and for the dancer, that will be the escobilla. Generally speaking, the order in which the middle will occur is we'll have letra, then falseta, then escobilla. So we have singer, guitarist, dancer. So that's just the very basic. It doesn't always happen that way. There can be variation. There can be more letras, more falsetas, more escobillas. They can be mixed and matched. But at the very basic level, we just need one of each of those. And that's a complete baile. Tarantos is a 4-count palo in flamenco. It comes from the Cantes de Levante. Levante is a region in Spain, or just the eastern border of Spain, and that includes the mining towns of Almeria and Murcia. And because it comes from the mining areas, they call it cante minero, if you've heard that. So that just means the mining songs. Most of these cante minero are what's called cante libre, which means no fixed time. So it's a free tempo. The palo of Tarantos, however, is a fixed tempo in 4/4, and that's because it has been molded from the taranta into a more danceable form. Sometimes that's where a little bit of confusion comes in, because we have the taranta, which is the cante libre, and then we have the tarantos, which is the fixed compass. The mood of the tarantos, because it does come from the mining towns where the work there was long and hard and heavy, the mood is very melancholic, very somber, so you will feel that heaviness throughout the palo. One thing to note is with the macho, which in other palos can generally be upbeat, quite dramatic, a lot going on. The macho in Tarantos, I find, is more somber. So there's not a lot of frenetic footwork culminating in excitement and explosion. This is more just very somber, and you'll notice mostly that the dancer will exit the stage quite slowly and dramatically in that somber way. And because this is a 4-count palo, the macho is in the palo of Tangos. The baile I've picked today is danced by Alba Fajardo, and I will link to her video down below. And I've chosen this one because what actually occurs in this Tarantos is halfway through, it switches into the palo of Tangos. So this can happen in Tarantos, that it's not just Tarantos all the way up to the macho. I've seen in quite a few of the bailes that halfway through, it switches into the palo of Tangos. And in this case, it's like we have a whole new baile right from the middle of the dance. So what actually happens is it looks like we're starting a whole new baile in the palo of Tangos with the Salida and the Letras, etc. And so that's why I chose this one, because it's a good one to show you what kind of variation you can find in the palos in flamenco. Before we go ahead and watch the video and get into all of the nitty-gritty, I will just run through the structure that we're going to be seeing. I'm just looking at my notes here. So we will start off with the Salida, And I think the video comes in that the guitarist has already started playing the Salida. So as soon as the video starts, it's the Salida del Cante, and then the dancer comes in with her Salida del Baile, and that's just a slow somber walking on. And then she'll perform her cierre, which is the remate to close off the Salida. And then the singer gets into the first letra, por Tarantos. This is where we want to look at how a letra works for por Tarantos. So there's usually 5 singing lines, and after the first line, 3rd line and 5th line, there's usually a respiro, which is a break in the singing, and the dancer will perform a remate, usually, not always. We'll actually see that Alba in the first one doesn't perform a remate in the first respiro, but she does perform remates in the other ones. So again, there's no fixed rules. You don't have to do things exactly the same each time, but this is just good to note that this is what usually happens. So in the first letra, or the letra por Tarantos, the focus goes from the singer to the dancer and back again. After the first letra, we have the falseta, and then we move straight into the second letra. And again, you'll see this combination of respiros, remates. So the singer will continue with the letra, but it sounds like it's different letras, but that's because the singer does a little bit, then the dancer does a little bit, the singer goes back to the letra, and so on. So after the second letra is the escobilla, and then it moves into a palo seco, so there is no accompaniment, and the dancer switches the palo into tangos. So it's really cool the way that she does it, because it's a palo seco, there's no guitarist playing music, and she just starts in with her finger clicking and her body movement, so that's cool to watch. And this is where it seems like it starts a whole new baile, because then it's like a whole salida for the tangos. We have the guitarist comes in, and then the dancer performs a cierre, and then the singer comes in with the letras. What I've noticed is that in this one, the singer starts off with a bit of like an intro letra, so it's not a complete letra to start with. And then he sings 3 letras por tangos. So we'll look at that. And then after the letras, the dancer performs her escobilla. There's actually no falseta por tangos. So in that respect, you can't say it's complete baile por tangos, because there's no falseta por tangos. But there is a falseta in the beginning half with the Tarantos part of the baile. And that's why I chose this particular baile, because it does show us a lot of variation, and this is how we get to learn, by observing and studying how one dancer performs a baile as opposed to another. After the escobilla, por tangos, comes the macho. And this one is really beautiful. The singer sings a very slow, soulful letra in the higher tone. There's no footwork culmination, simply the dancer walks off in a somber way, because that's the mood of the palo of Tarantos. So that's my interpretation of this baile. If you have a different interpretation, or you see something different going on, do let me know in the comments. I'm always open for learning something new and seeing from another perspective, because in flamenco, we are always learning. This baile does go for 16 minutes, so I'll be skipping through some of the sections as I'm discussing what's happening through the structure, and I'll also be pressing pause in some parts just to discuss a little bit further. If you do want to see the video in full with my notes on screen, I'll drop a link to that below where you can download it, and as I said, I'll also be linking to Alba's video, her original video as well. So let's have a look at the baile. This is the Salida del Cante, and the singer is singing a letra for the Salida. And now we have Salida del Baile. The dancer is walking on very slowly, very somber, to suit the mood of the palo of Tarantos. few moments, the dancer will come in with the cierre, which is the remate, and that will close off the salida. And here she gets into the cierre. Ole. And now the singer is going to come in with the first letra. And here we have the first respiro. The dancer is not performing a remate just yet in this respiro. But this is very typical, the melody of the guitar, if you listen to that, very typical for Tarantos. The singer has resumed the letra. And at the end of the third sung line or thereabouts, there'll be another respiro and you'll see the dancer perform a remate. Here is her remate. And very typical melodies there from the guitar as well. So the singer has resumed the letra, and there'll be another respiro and remate in another couple of sung lines. And so all of this is part of the first letra. Remate with the respiro. And we're resuming the first letra here. And closing it off. And slow in Tarantos. And now what we have is the falseta. So very beautiful, pretty melodic music from the guitarist. And the dancer will be performing mostly a lot of maraca hair throughout to suit the falseta. And she'll be interpreting the music how she feels. Skip ahead a little bit to where the dancer performs the cierre. So this is still within the falseta. She's performing the cierre to close off the falseta. Again, it's quite a long cierre. It goes for a few compasses. Ole! And now we're into the second letra for Tarantos. So the similar thing happens here where the singer sings some sung lines, then the dancer does the remate in the respiro. this is a super long baile, and we have looked at the first letra, so the second letra is very similar. So this is the end of the second letra, and the dance is going to move into the Escobilla next. And she's starting off a palo seco, which means there's no accompaniment, no guitar melody. The guitarist is simply doing the palo, which is the scratchy scratchy. And now the guitarist is coming in with the melody. Pause there and skip ahead a bit through Escobilla. So here's where she moves into a subida, which is where the tempo is increased. Contratiempo. The tempo is still increased. So she hasn't slowed down there at all throughout the contratiempo. Okay, so now for the full part where she switches into the palo of tangos, a palo seco, again with that accompaniment. So we're going to watch the dancer change the palo into tangos. And it has now more of a light, happy vibe to it because it's tangos. You can see the singers are both smiling and playing palmas, enjoying it. So I'm calling this the entrada or the salida or the tangos, even though it's in the middle of the baile. And this is a cierre, a remate, to close off the salida, and also to call the singer to start singing letras for the tangos. Now this is a cute little letra, sounds almost like a coletilla, perhaps it is. I'm just calling it the intro letra before the singers get into the full tangos letras, which you'll see next. And the singer will sing 3 separate letras. This is the first one. Respiro. second letra por Tangos. Here the singers move straight into the third letra and he's brought up the tone. And this is then going to lead into an Escobilla or the Tangos by the dancer after this third letra. This is how it's similar to the general structure where you have your letras and then there's an escobilla as well. So in the beginning of the dance we had an escobilla for Tarantos and now we're having the escobilla for Tangos. Macho. This is where it becomes somber again. The singers have come in with the letra and they're singing in that high tone. And the dancer is going to make her way off stage, walking slowly and somberly to suit the palo and the mood of Tarantos. Very beautiful. Amazing! Wasn't that amazing? I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this where I talk about the structure and walk through the baile with you, I have got a few made already and I've put them in a playlist, so I'll link that here as well. And if you have requests for some more videos that you would like to see me do, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to make more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!